Descent into the Wormhole, where we discuss everything from ancient civilization to modern day social issues and everything in between. I'm Les.
And I'm Stevie J, and today we're going to be talking about something that's sort of a bit mysterious in a way, which is the 27 Club. So, famous people who've passed away at the age of 27. We have a bit of a list we're going to go through, but as always, we're also on Instagram and Twitter, and if you're listening on the podcast, we're on YouTube as well. So, head on over there if you like to, and follow us there. Ask us a question, or let us know what topic you want us to talk about at some stage, and we will. Nothing's off the table on this channel. Right. So, yeah. The 27 Club, though, I actually, I was aware that famous people had passed away, a lot of them at 27. But right. I didn't realize it was termed the 27 Club. So you sort of brought this one to my attention. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, it's just one of those things that is just odd. And I don't know because I don't know if people are talking themselves into being in the club, like they just, or if there's something paranormal going on, or if they're making deals with certain individuals. I just don't know what is actually going on, but it's creepy. It's really, really creepy that's the age of that's the age. It's a really odd number, I feel.
Yeah. Age of so many people, like the same age of so many people in general, but not just in general, like the famous people, like people who have big careers, big, fandom and stuff like that. It's an interesting age, an interesting number for them to all pass away. And I find some of the circumstances are, very similar as well, very similar circumstances. And I do feel like, where they use an overdose or something like that, or they have an overdose. I know that famous people and rock stars and stuff like that do drugs. Like, I'm not kidding myself here, but do so many of them do it to this point of ODing? I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, right? Because I'm not in those shoes. Like I'm not in anyone's shoes of being at that caliber, obviously. So it's easy for me to say I would never. Like if that was me, I would have never have gone down that route, but I'm not there. So I can't say if I would or if I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Are they lured into this lifestyle to be easily controlled, easily puppeteered, easily manipulated? Quite possibly. That's a possibility. Is it coming from the top down? We don't know. Or is it just something that kind of just goes with the territory, that if you're going to go in this line of career, aka famous musician, famous actor, famous whatever, is it just I don't know. It's just very, very odd. And yes, in some of these circumstances and some of these people are tied together, which is something that I thought there's one. And I don't want to spend too much time on her because she'll come get you. But there's one person who is tied to two of these people. Very interesting indeed. Very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, and we say there's no coincidences on this channel. There's no coincidences.
No.
But there's seemingly a lot of coincidences there. And, you just got to be thinking about the whole thing of, you're not one of those people. I'm clearly not one of those people either that's, famously talented or something like that. I mean, I've got talents, but nobody wants to know about it. But what I was thinking was a lot of these people, we've talked about before how money doesn't really equal fulfillment in life.
No.
And so getting to these positions of fame and all of that, does it just bring a whole lot of emptiness with it? And then they're trying to potentially fill it with something, i.e. drugs, alcohol, all these sorts of things. And I really would love to talk to somebody just in private, that's at that level and ask them some questions, because it seems to me difficult to really figure out at that when you've got such fame and such wealth and such, notoriety that it seems hard to figure out who your actual friends are and if you actually
Right.
have any real friends. So to me, like, I just have this image of some of these people getting to the top, getting to where they are, and just having a very empty kind of life, if that makes sense. They've got all the stuff, but they don't have the things. And by things, I mean
Right.
people who actually fulfill them, or their own fulfillment. You know, it doesn't have to be other people, but I don't know. It's just a thought, just a theory.
No, you're absolutely right. I think Russell Brand touched on this once, that you know you get all these things and really you look around and it's really, you can be very, very empty depending on who you have around. And I completely agree. Like, you just never know who's in it for the right reasons. And quite honestly, like, you don't actually really know until it all goes away, unfortunately. Like, that's the time when you realize who your friends actually are, is if, heaven forbid, poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because when poof, it's gone, and then all those people are gone with it. Yeah, I would say a lot of emptiness. And yeah, money does not bring happiness.
No.
What you do with that money, could,
Mm-hmm.
but it also brings a lot more headaches, and it would be a very chaotic life, I would think. Very chaotic life. So if you need an escape from something,
Yeah.
and you got the means and you got the funds and you got people like almost encouraging you to do it, like, I can see, like, I'm not judging, I'm just saying, like, I can see how it can happen. Like, you just go down that road and you get very comfortable there, comfortably numb. You get very comfortable there because it numbs out everything, right?
Right. And I like what you did there. That was great. Little segue. But the other thing too that you just got me thinking about then was the pressure. So, a lot of these people are musicians, or we're talking famous people, but you've got a lot of pressure too from production companies, record companies, and things like that, saying, you make us millions of dollars, get out another freaking album and do it by tomorrow. And
Right.
like, for creative people, and I actually have noticed this, like, not necessarily with the people on this list, but just in general. I mean, I've seen certain people in the beginnings of their career be very creative and sort of put their own slant on things and really have their own character in the sense of music anyway. But then as they get more and more commercialized and more involved with big record companies, they start to turn into the same old kind of generic sounding music. And it's like, I wonder where that's coming from. Like, it's clearly
Right.
not what's coming from inside that artist as an artist. It's coming from a producer saying, that's not selling enough records. We need to sell X amount, or, you're done. The whole thing's done, finished.
Right.
So there's a lot of pressure, I think, on a lot of these people to perform. And, for a lot of them, I'm guessing that they really got into music just for themselves, to be expressing themselves. And so then having all of that commercial side on it would be a pretty big weight to bear on the shoulders.
Well, yeah, because you're the one out there. You're the one putting your name on this music. And if someone else is telling you you got to change it in order to be on top,
Mm-hmm.
that's got to be really, you really just feel like their puppet.
Yeah.
That's just got to be so sad. And creativity doesn't, like, you can't just rock up unless you're talking to the princes of the world. You can't just rock up to someone and say, hey, write me a song and it needs to be ready and radio ready by tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Creativity comes when it comes.
Yeah.
We can't command it, we can't demand it, it just happens.
Yeah.
So I know, yeah, you're absolutely right, a lot of these people are under a lot of pressure. And why not allow them to step out of the outside of the box of of what we're hearing today? Because you can hear it, the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, 60s, 50s, whatever it may be. Within that decade, you had a certain kind of music, and that was the thing that sold, and that was the thing that made the people famous. Allow them to step outside of the box, allow them to put their own twist on it, and see what people think.
Yeah.
It may take them a little bit to warm up to it, but once they do, it could actually turn out to be something extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like they're just not letting them. So you have a lot of creative um, things out in the ether that people want to grab onto, but they're technically not allowed to.
Right. Well, because the the record companies and back we go to big corporations have their goals in mind, and it's really got nothing to do with artistry. Really, it's all just to do with money, and I think that's where a lot of it gets lost. A lot of it gets lost, and it starts out sometimes, I feel, with little changes like, oh well, why don't you just wear your hair a little bit differently, or why don't you just wear something a little bit differently, or wear a little bit less, or a lot less in some cases.
Right. Yes.
And then these artists a lot of the time, I feel, probably lose themselves in some of that. So I don't know. We don't know, and this is all speculation. But that's the whole idea of of this channel, is to talk through all of these ideas and have an honest and open discussion about it. So but the 27 Club. What is the 27 Club? I mean, definition wise, I guess, or is there a brief description of it?
Well, it says here, the 27 Club has been around for a while. Its members include musicians who all died at the age of 27. Some of them considered to be among the most talented of their generation. That's where my spidey senses start tingling.
Mm-hmm.
However, because they struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, their lives were unnecessarily cut short. Some of the musicians that we have on this list are not as well known as the others, which is why they haven't been mythologized in the same way. And then they just said they've rounded up like the top 10. So when you find someone at the peak, seemingly where they are in like within that, say, year, they're at the peak of their career, and all of a sudden it's cut short. I got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
At that age, at that certain time in their life, it's easy to blame drugs and alcohol. So easy to blame that for seemingly anything that goes wrong in someone's life.
Right.
But my spidey senses pick up and I say, there's more to it.
Right. Well, that's a good point, because if it's just drugs and alcohol, then there's a hell of a lot of people that probably shouldn't be around. Like,
right.
Let's, and this is going to be a little segue. So, pat on the back for me. But Keith Richards, like, yes. How is Keith Richards still got a pulse? I mean, I'm glad he is. I'm glad he's still here. Yeah. But geez, man, that guy, like, how is he still functioning at this point? Ozzy Osbourne, yeah.
Steven Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
The list goes on and on. Like, we could sit here all day and list all the people that should technically not be here because of the drugs and alcohol. But these people at the same age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay. So I had a little segue there. And the first one, so number 10 on the list, is Brian Jones. Excuse me. Brian Jones was the founder and original band leader of the Rolling Stones. He died less than a month after he left the band. He had been struggling with alcohol and drug addiction and died under rather questionable circumstances. He was found at the bottom of his swimming pool. Police ruled that his death was caused by misadventure. And I think we're going to hear that word a few times here. Misadventure. What is that? Like, was somebody on a quest and then their adventure got missed?
It was choose your own adventure and they chose wrong.
Right.
That's a misadventure.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Death by misadventure. I've never really known. Like, is it almost like we can't really explain it? So we're just going to say it was a misadventure. It was an adventure gone amok.
I feel like it's when they want to say something happened, but we want to call it an accident. Like, something more could have happened or something more sinister could have happened, but we want to call it an accident. So let's just call it misadventure. It sounds like a kid who's gone off, into the woods and, had a misadventure, like it's, it makes it, what's the word? It waters down what happened.
Yes.
And I didn't mean that pun about, because it was a pool. I didn't, I swear I didn't mean that one. Does that count? I hope that doesn't. No, it doesn't count.
It counts. Damn it. That's one. So Exactly. It does. It dilutes here. It dilutes it.
That's one for you now. I'm
The
sorry.
one for me now. All right. All right. It's gonna be a long day. But I wonder if they have to say that, because if they said anything other than that, if they said, hey, we don't know what happened to Brian Jones. You got millions of people devastated that this happened. They'd be like, well, figure it out. You got to figure this out.
Yeah. I mean, right off the bat, I got so many questions with this first one. Like, there's drugs and alcohol and a swimming pool. You know, like, misadventure. Well, the other thing too is, and we saw some of this with films like City of Lies, you know, talking about the police involvement, complicity, just being corrupt even. And I'm not saying that that's the case with all of these or anything, but police corruption does exist. And City of Lies was, a movie that talked about, Biggie Smalls and Tupac and stuff like that. And yeah, the police were wanting to cover things up. So when it comes to famous people, there's obviously more of an inclination by the police to cover things up. Not all police, of course, but a lot of them. So I just find it very curious, and we'll see more as we go through the list. The use of the words misadventure and, drugs and alcohol, and just like oh, well, it's a shame. It's kind of like, oh, well, it's a shame, but we don't really know what happened, and it's fine.
Right. Exactly. It's fine. It was a misadventure. It's fine. Well, a 27-year-old really shouldn't be fine.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
I also like to think that who the hell are we to say, oh, they're gone too young, too soon. It was, especially when they go into wrongful, like if it was a wrongful incident, like, who are we to say? Like, maybe this was actually their time and this is just how they decided to go out. We have no idea. But at the same time, 27 seems very, very young for our day and age. And we should probably be looking into it a little bit more than just saying misadventure.
Right.
A lot of questions. But the next one is Janis Joplin. And once again, Janis Joplin died from an accidental heroin overdose back in the 70s, back in 1970. Her road manager believes that the heroin that she took on the night of her death was much more potent than it usually was, as several of her dealers, other customers, had also accidentally overdosed that same week. Top of her career, doing amazing things.
And yet again, like, we have a lot of things that just are convenient for somebody who wants this to be a drug overdose and wants it to be an unintentional drug overdose. And I use that word, well, the way that I mean it. I mean, some of these drug overdoses, I will just say it, I believe some of these were likely intentional and not by the person who actually overdosed. So I don't know what the reasoning is, but a lot of it, this is just too convenient and too coincidental for some of these people. I mean, so my question is, okay, so what did they, who was their drug dealer? If they know who the drug dealer was, what happened with the drug dealer? And if these other customers were affected the same, where did that batch come from? Who created that batch? Who sold it? Follow it all the way back and get to the actual source of it. Why was it different? Who influenced that batch to be different? If it in fact was. But it seems to me like somebody wanted her to be gone.
Thank you. I was just going to say, like, who messed with it before it got into her hands?
Yep. And look,
because if I'm Janis Joplin's dealer, well, that's a pretty good gig. I want to make sure that she's going to be around tomorrow to go buy more.
You're right.
I'm going to make sure that it's safe for her, as safe as can be. Let's be honest. Like, once I give it to her, like, how much she takes is like out of my hands. But I want to make sure it's safe. I want to make sure that, she has the high she intends, and off she goes, and she'll be back for more. And if she wants to get clean, great. But as her dealer, Janis Joplin, you want to make sure that your reputation is stellar. Because guess what? She's got friends.
Yeah.
Who also want what you have. It's a business, just like everybody else's.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Is it right, wrong, or indifferent? I'm not here to say that.
Right. And if like you hit the nail on the head, it's a business, so it's no good if your customers aren't around anymore to purchase.
Horrible business model.
Like, yeah, that's a terrible business model, and it doesn't do well for marketing either. I feel like the marketing on that is a really hard spin, that one. But yeah, I just feel like it's intentional. And when they say overdose, to me, and I'm no drug expert, but when they say overdose, that means somebody took too much of a certain thing, not that the product itself changed. So there's a big difference there for me. And I would have thought there should be a big difference there for the police as well, or the people investigating, or whatever.
You're absolutely right.
I feel like saying drug overdose is like an easy way to quiet the public, just to say, because they expect the public to do this. Oh, another star just overdosed. Star. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, happens all the time.
Yeah, we saw that coming.
Yeah, of course.
Like Janis, we saw that coming.
That's just part of life. Like, what? No.
You're right. It's easy to flub off.
People don't ask. Yeah, people don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Lucky we're here. We're asking questions.
And then came us.
All right. So moving down to number 8 there, we've got Alan Wilson. So Alan Wilson, a guitarist for Canned Heat, was found dead behind his bandmate Bob Hite's Topanga Canyon's house in 1970. Cause of death was ruled an accidental overdose of barbiturates, although it has sometimes been reported as a suicide because he had suffered from depression and had reportedly attempted a few months prior to his death. Okay, so again, there's depression in there, and I get that. That's a totally real thing. So many people go through it, regardless of being stars or not stars, and it's it's a really tough thing and a sad thing for people to go through. But they threw in drugs again. There's another overdose there as well. Funnily enough, this one's
also,
in 1970.
In 1970. Same dealer?
Well, this is the thing. 1970. Now, there were some big things happening with drugs in the 1970s as well. Around that time, you had the Vietnam War going on, and there was some US agencies that were very heavily involved in the drug trade in Vietnam. And that's a podcast for another day, but
I was just going to say.
Which we will do. But the CIA had a whole lot of involvement with heroin and drugs throughout that period of the Vietnam War. And so I just find it very curious that a lot of these overdoses seem to be happening in 1970 or the 70s. And it's just too many coincidences for me. I
just had a thought. What did they know?
Good thought. Brilliant thought.
What did they know that they weren't supposed to know? Because famous people meet, people of all stages and all calibers. What if they knew something they really weren't supposed to know?
Yeah. And who did they tell that they were going to say something about it? Like, did they tell the wrong person? I'm going to do a song about this. I'm going to write about this. I'm going to talk about this. Yeah.
I'm
absolutely.
Going to get on stage in front of a podium, and I'm going to scream it. Maybe. You don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's a good question again, and one we should always ask, I feel.
Yeah, it was just something that I thought no. All right, so the next one is Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix died in 1970 from drug-related complications. He had been drinking when he reportedly took 9 Vesparax sleeping tablets, which was 18 times the recommended dosage. His death was ruled an accident. Once again. Why? 1970.
Mm-hmm.
Two drug overdose. Well, why would like again?
I'm with you. It's like I'm speechless because who saw him take those sleeping tablets? Who saw him take 9 Vesparax sleeping tablets? Who saw that? Or was it the person who actually gave them to him, unbeknownst to him, that knows it was 9?
Right. Well, that's just it. Because if okay, so let's be honest. If I no, we're not going to use us because you don't want to speak that into existence. Say a mythical person
Yeah.
was given drugs by, say, her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't know. And all of a sudden, the reports come out that she took 11 pills of whatever, and that was the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the pills are still like somewhat formed in the stomach, that would be the only way. That'd be the only way to know, or the person who did it told you.
Right.
Because if you're going by the prescription, okay, so if I have a prescription of 20 pills and there's 10 missing, well, you're going to say, well, she took 10. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily at all. So exactly, who knew there was 9?
Yep. And like it says, drug-related complications. Well, that seems like it's pretty, again, watered down and diluted to me, because it sounds like there's foul play there to me. Drug-related complications. Maybe complications, but it just seems like, why are you not investigating this anymore? And it's ruled as an accident? Like,
no.
What? How many times had he taken sleeping pills before? Who knows? Maybe he had taken sleeping pills a lot before. But the question I always come back to with this one is, who knew it was 9? How did they know it was 9? And why did he take 9 at that particular time? What was going on around then? I mean, yes, people did drugs. People do drugs. All of those sorts of things. But not every single one of these people, I'm sure, not every single one of these people was just so, disenfranchised with the world that they wanted to do that, and wanted to end things. So,
well, especially a sleeping pill. Like, a sleeping pill isn't something like, it's not going to, you're asleep. You don't feel the effects. You're asleep. So it's just a really, really odd drug to take in excess, unless that was your plan or someone else's plan.
Yeah. Oh,
I got some questions.
There's so many questions with all of these. And I think that's the problem. I think that's sort of why we're talking about it here, because there's so many questions with all of this. And, years later, I mean, decades and decades later, the questions still remain. And I don't know, but I'd love to talk to some of the families of these people, or even just some of the people who were genuinely close with them. Not their bloody managers, not all of that kind of crap, but the people who are actually close to them, and find out what they have to say about a lot of this stuff. Because something tells me it would be a whole lot different to what the official reports and stories are.
Probably, yeah. And this next one, I have huge issues with it. Huge issues, but...
All right, well, let's dive into it. So we've got another J. We've had Janis Joplin, we've had Jimi Hendrix, and we've got another J here in Jim Morrison of The Doors. So Jim Morrison is believed to have died of heart failure or a heroin overdose. His common law partner, Pamela Curson, found him in their Paris apartment's bathtub. No autopsy was performed because French officials found no evidence of foul play. As a result, there are endless conspiracy theories about his death. Well, right off the bat, I hate that word, conspiracy theory, because
just theories.
It's just theories. Like, it's just, it's just theories, and people should question. I mean, why the hell are you not doing an autopsy? Like, the autopsy is part of figuring out whether it's foul play or not. Like,
exactly. What if Pam did something to him?
right. What if Jeeves the butler did something to him?
Right.
I mean,
what if he's not dead at all? I don't think he's dead.
Oh, really? You don't think?
Yeah, the only person who's ever actually saw his body was Pam.
Interesting. Okay, well, now you've opened up Pandora's box. So why do you think he would be alive and not want to be known as being alive?
You know what? I think for some people that the thought of being famous and on stage and just doing your thing and having millions of people adore you just seems like just the greatest idea ever. But when you get there, like, this was the worst thing I've ever done to myself. So you disappear. You take your money and you buy a small island and fake your death and off you go. That's what I would do.
Good call.
100%. 100%.
Well,
sometimes it just isn't for them. Just because we love them and we love watching them perform
right.
and we love listening to them doesn't mean that they enjoy what they're doing at all. So instead of saying, hey, I'm out, and disappointing millions of people and getting that backlash and being just that guy, now you're infamous.
Mm-hmm.
You died at the peak of your reign, and you get to go and enjoy those memories that you had, but also live a lifestyle that doesn't require you to really go out into the world. You can just go, like, you've seen the world, you've met all the people, you've done all the things, and you've done all this stuff. Now I can just sit on my island, I can do whatever I want, and money's not an issue. And that's just that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. It's a really good point. And, it's so dodgy as hell that they did do an autopsy here. And it goes to your theory, actually, because if Pamela was the only one who saw him, it could have just been, like, anybody. Like, it could have been, there's another one, any body that was in the in the bathtub. So I'm not saying that necessarily Pamela or Jim did something untoward to somebody to put them in the tub, but people pass away all the time, so they could have located a body, any body, and put it in the tub. Pamela says, yeah, it's Jim, this is what happened. And then there's no autopsy, so it just doesn't confirm anything. Well, look, if that is the case, I hope Jim's out there living his best life, having a good time.
I do too.
Sitting on a beach in the Bahamas or Fiji.
Yeah, a lot of theories revolve around Jim Morrison, and some of them just seem more plausible than this.
Yeah,
because this is just silly. Why would a 27-year-old man die of heart failure and you're not looking into why?
Yeah.
Is it because let's be honest, if you or I dropped tomorrow, they'd be doing an autopsy to see why we died so young. They'd want to know.
Totally.
But Jim Morrison, they don't care about? I find that very suspicious.
Exactly.
So. Yeah,
no, I'm with you. There should have been so many questions at the time. So many questions.
Yeah. So the next one is Ronald McKernan. I hope I said that correctly, and I totally apologize if I didn't. So Ronald was one of the members of the Grateful Dead. He was a big fan of alcohol, which he began drinking when he was just an adolescent. He died of gastrointestinal hemorrhage, which was caused by his alcoholism in 1974. This one is a little bit more, you understand it. Like, you have a reason, you have a name to what happened.
Yeah.
You have a reason.
You follow the bouncing ball, and it kind of makes a bit of sense.
It makes a little bit more sense than the other ones. Still, it's an easy out.
It is. It is. And they use language like this. He was a big fan of alcohol. So are so many people on this planet that never have this happen. Now, it does make more sense. It does make a lot more sense that they've put what it was there that happened, and there's a cause of death that they've provided there. It's not just a misadventure. He didn't go skipping into a meadow and find a witch's house that was made out of candy. Like,
right.
it was, he drank a lot and that's what happened. But interesting again, 1974. So it's in the 70s again, this one.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot about Ronald McKernan, full disclosure, but
me neither.
Just more looking at the as you read through this list, it's more congruent with what they're saying than most of the rest of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just feel like looking at these, I get the sense that somebody is telling porcupines. And
yes.
With that, the next one on the list is Pete Ham. So Pete Ham was the guitarist for the, you guessed it, 70s rock group Badfinger. When the band became embroiled in internal financial and managerial problems, their music ended up taking the back seat. In 1975, when their salary stopped coming in and their manager was incommunicado, Ham saw the only option. He hanged himself in his garage and left a note expressing his frustration with his manager.
This one, it's a good explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, 9 out of 10 people would say, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It wasn't going well.
Yep. Getting screwed over by management and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jesus, Prince changed his name to get away from his management and his production company. So,
right.
people do some things. But it just seems it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least there was an actual, like, you could see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Such a shame. But the next one, and I'm really surprised it's not number one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they're going in like the order that they went in, not the order of,
sure.
global uproar.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain, son of a bitch.
Ooh.
This is the one that I don't like to get too far into it, like out in public, because she will shut you down very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When I say she, I hope everyone knows who I'm talking about. Kurt Cobain struggled with heroin addiction and depression. He had tried to do something to himself in Rome, Italy in March of 1994, but Courtney Love was able to get him help in time. A month later, he successfully did it by doing himself in the head with a shotgun. To this day, many fans are convinced that it was red rum, not suicide, and that a certain she was involved.
Yeah. And
it's not right.
No.
Something's definitely not right in that one.
Nope. Something's definitely wrong. And in this case, it's not just a misadventure. It's not just like it's not a drug overdose. It's not that he loved alcohol. There's another person involved here.
Right.
There's another person involved.
Right.
And that individual, well, I got some question marks, some pretty big ass question marks there.
Yeah.
But this one here is the method of departure here. Let's just say the method of red rum, as you put it.
Yeah.
Very cleverly. He is. That's just one where it seems like it's kind of fanciful to say, but really quite simple to stage because it's violent, it's messy. And really all you have to do is just place the shotgun in his hands afterwards. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And it would appear that way. And for that other individual who's involved, she may have started to set things up in Italy, right. March 1944. 1944. 1994.
I didn't even think of that. She was setting the stage.
She set it up. So it's like when that final thing happened, people, like we mentioned before, just go, oh, yeah, we knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And
Saw that one.
I just want to stop for a second and say, fuck that. Like, when somebody passes away, we should never be thinking, oh yeah, that was always going to happen. Like, Jesus, have some humanity. Like, these are human beings here. So
Exactly. And one you loved, one you looked up to, one you revered.
Yes, I did.
one you demanded more of.
Yes,
right?
I did.
It's an individual you demanded more of every day.
How many people out there watching, listening to this right now, got through their part of their childhood, part of their life, listening to Nirvana, listening to Kurt Cobain? I see that hand going up, and I raise you. Totally.
This girl, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I remember buying the cassette tape.
Yes, the old cassette.
Yes, the cassette tape in England.
Mm-hmm.
I was in England and I bought it. I specifically remember that. And man, over and over. I think I broke it.
Yeah.
I honestly think I broke the tape.
Yep. I had that thing happen. You know where you play the tape too much and the tape actually used to get wound up in the little wheels and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that started happening. And so you had to get your finger in there, remember, and wind it back.
You didn't use a pen? You didn't?
Well, I figured that out later in life, but that's when we started to get into CDs. So there I am holding a CD with a pencil. Like, why isn't this doing anything?
It's not doing anything. But it's funny because I had the tape, then I had the CD, and then now I have it in digital form. Like, it lasts. Like, that's such a great album. I don't think I will ever get tired of listening to it. Mm-hmm. But it's like not to bring up Prince once again, but like it's Purple Rain is another one for me where it has just carried me through so many different stages of life, and I've had it in so many different formats that it's just incredible album. And
it stands the test of time, doesn't it? And I think it's because the music, of course, is good, as in like the actual instruments, like the music side is good, but the message stands the test of time as well, and it relates to such a broad audience that you just can't deny it. Like, it's good shit. And you hear Nirvana come on the radio or on my playlist now, and you're like, still love it, turn that shit up. And I mean, Nevermind was probably the most popular album, but you had, In Utero was another great album of his. Love that album. Unplugged was I loved the Unplugged album as well. Well, it was a lot of the same songs, but just acoustic when they were sitting in whatever studio it was. But all of that, all of his stuff, all of Nirvana stuff just really stands the test of time. But this is one that, again, a lot of people, it made it easy for a certain individual and the powers that be to say, oh, well, listen to his music. Of course he was going to do this. Like, of course. No, not of course. Screw you, of course. No. Like, one doesn't inform the other. It's a complete non sequitur.
It's a complete non sequitur. And, it's once again something that you have to be careful of how you talk about it, because she'll get you.
Yeah.
But it's sad. It's very, very sad. And the next one.
Yes. So Kristen Pfaff. Kristen Pfaff was one of the mourners at Kurt Cobain's memorial and the bassist in the band Hole. Just a couple of months after Cobain died, she was found dead in her apartment, surrounded by syringes and drug paraphernalia. Her death was attributed to acute opiate intoxication.
She knew something.
Bullshit. I'm sorry.
She knew something.
She knew something. A whole lot of something, I feel.
Yeah, I think she knew all of the something.
And again, this is just one of those things of convenience. Oh, just, she's in a band. Well, that's an easy way for us to just say. And she was friends with Kurt Cobain. So it's easy for us to just say this is what happened. So just put all the syringes out there, place them all around, put some drug paraphernalia around, and that's easy then. Let's just call it that.
But did you notice how they mentioned love in Kurt's thing, but
Mm-hmm.
not in Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
Like Courtney was the lead singer of Hole. Why is no one saying, huh, that's
Yeah.
odd.
Yeah, exactly. Why not draw
That's
that connection?
strange.
Why not draw that connection? Clearly, something dodgy happened here.
Like
Maybe,
what the
like,
fuck are the odds?
did Kurt say to Kristen a few weeks before, a month before, whatever? Hey, I think something's going on with Miss Love over here. She's talking about all this stuff, and she's, I'm a bit concerned that she's, may do something. And then after Kurt goes, Kristen says, "Well, I got to talk about this. I can't keep this quiet."
Or maybe Courtney confessed. And
Ooh.
she too enjoyed her drinks. What if she
Or
confessed?
or Kristen overheard Courtney talking to somebody else about what happened.
It's too much of a goddamn coincidence. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Nope.
Yep.
Nope. But why are you not? You're just mentioning Hole, hoping that no
Yeah.
one's going to put two and two together that Courtney Love was involved with both those people very, very closely.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm not saying she did it, but I'm saying, she might know something.
Mm-hmm.
She might know something of interest.
I
She's been talked to by so many different people. Like at this point, I think it would take her just coming out and saying she knows exactly what happened, putting it all on the table.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just gotten to the point where you're not going to get anything from her.
Well, you just got me thinking of something. You know how you said before that a lot of people have gone on and they've had long and extended careers and everything like that. And but you also talked about briefly, have they sold their soul to somebody? Is this what the price is, or what somebody maybe has to do when they sell their soul so that they can go on and have an extended career like she has and others have? I don't know.
Pin that for the next conversation.
Yes.
Pin that thought, because you could be absolutely correct, sir.
Well, thank you, miss. I appreciate that.
I doff my cap. So yeah, we'll get into more theories in next week's episode, because the two definitely tie together. Where how we see it,
Right.
there's definitely something more of a conversation to be had around this thing. Just
Absolutely.
more theories around it. But the last one, poor love, Amy Winehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Such a shame. Amy Winehouse struggled with drugs and alcohol addiction. Absolutely, yes, she did, before she died from accidental alcohol poisoning. Many believe that she had already kicked the habit and was on her way to making a comeback. Such a shame. So, not, they were all talented. They were all talented. I think she could have. I think she had such a career ahead of her.
I agree.
Such a hell of a career.
I agree. I heard something about Amy Winehouse, that her security guard was with her, like in the days leading up to this, and reported that she was laughing and watching TV at 2 a.m. and stuff, and nothing kind of seemed out of the ordinary. And then she didn't wake up, or he became a little bit concerned one day at 3 p.m. when he hadn't seen her for the day or hadn't heard anything for the day, so went in, and that's when she wasn't breathing and stuff. But again, and I also heard that, I think it was her brother said that she was bulimic, and that her bulimia didn't help with this alcohol poisoning and stuff. But
yeah,
and it is very sad. Like, it's so sad for all of them. But I mean, it all seems a little bit too coincidental for me. Like, all of this stuff, it's always drugs, it's always alcohol, it's always with somebody who's famous, and it's always with is it somebody, is it I want to know, like we talked about before, what did they know? What did these people know that they were potentially going to share that got them into
Right.
some kind of trouble?
Or did they make deals with people
Right.
that this was all they would get?
Mm-hmm.
Now I do know that it's been reported that Amy said, "Me, hopefully I'll be part of the 27 Club." Like when she was in one of her in her downtimes, like when
Yeah.
in like the depths of her addiction, she talked about it a lot apparently. So I don't know, maybe she talked it into existence.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows how these things work? But once again, just so talented, so young, so
Mm.
just it was just the same. But she deteriorated in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
Like she went from such a healthy, vibrant woman to like a wisp of a creature,
Yeah.
and just a mess. I don't
Well,
blame her boyfriend at the time, but at the same time, I don't think he encouraged her to get clean. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the relationship. I don't know. But
Mm. Tough to say,
yeah,
and lots of
it's
questions, but
tough.
you know, and I think you may have given me another idea for another episode, which is when you talked about the deterioration of Amy Winehouse, you got
Mhm.
me thinking about all the other, mostly women in music and Hollywood and stuff like that, who've also deteriorated over time. From most, my mind goes to child stars, right? So let's look at Miley Cyrus. So
Mhm.
she started out, and I remember when my kids were younger, she was on these shows that she was this cutesy little,
Hannah
girl who
Montana.
was, yeah, that's right, Hannah Montana. And so she went from that, which she was very popular, right? So it
Mhm.
wasn't an issue of popularity. But then you have her moving all the way through to her, swinging in on a wrecking ball wearing basically nothing. And it's like,
Mhm.
at what point do these people in the industries decide that kind of hypersexualization of women is okay?
Yeah.
I want to know. Like, I want to know because you had her, you had Lindsay Lohan as well, was another one.
Christina Aguilera,
Christina
Dirty.
Aguilera, Britney
Oh, such a sexy
Spears,
video.
like
Yeah.
all of these people. Now, I get it. Like, if that's the way they want to go, if that's where they want to go, and
By
that's
all
how they
means.
feel, go for it. Fill your
Yeah.
boots, fill
Yeah.
your wrecking ball, whatever. But
Yeah.
when it just seems again too coincidental that they go from being Hannah Montana to where they ended up. And it's like, is that really who you are? That's my question. Is that really who you are and who you want to be? If it is, great. If it's not, why?
Yeah. Are you rebelling? Are you trying it on? If you're trying it on, that's cool. Are you rebelling and are you going to regret it? Who knows? Like there's so many different things. But it didn't hurt Christina Aguilera at all.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hurt Britney at all until it hurt her.
Yeah.
I think it was her family and her management that hurt Britney. Any hoozle.
Yeah.
Um, Miley, I think it may put a dent in her for a second, like in her career for a second. She's doing okay. Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan, nope.
Right.
No, poor girl.
But I
It
think
went sideways for her.
it really did. But I think, there's one thing of sometimes this has worked well, for this kind of path has worked well for people's careers. But what's it done to their soul? What's it done to their mental
Right.
state?
Yeah.
I, you know, because we've talked about this before in other episodes. If you can't, one of the things that makes you feel fulfilled, or makes us feel fulfilled, is being honest with ourselves and true to
Right.
ourselves.
Yeah.
But maybe that does lead down to the road of unhappiness for these people, and that's
Yeah.
a contributing factor to the 27 Club. But geez, I feel like again we've gotten towards the end of this episode, and it felt like about 10 minutes, but
So fast.
so quick.
So fast. How do we do it? I don't know. Anyway.
But well, thank you for another great conversation, and I'm really curious to see what people think in the in the comments here, or if you're listening to the podcast, let us know on Instagram or Twitter or something like that what you think.
Yeah, it's just a shame.
It is a damn shame.
Want to, because you look at them, you're like, I wonder what amazing things they could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where could they have taken themselves?
Yeah.
We don't know. It's a
Very
shame.
sad. Very sad
Such
indeed.
a goddamn shame. But it is what it is. And we will discuss more theories in the next episode.
We will. All right, everybody, have an awesome day, night, afternoon, wherever you are. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.